You're enjoying Racing World. It's brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your global motorsport podcast show brought to you in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.
March 2023 and the racing, it's just begun. Formula One and IndyCar return, and this is Racing World for another week. Well, arguably the two highest profile open wheel classes in the world kicked off this weekend. Formula One in Bahrain and IndyCar in St. Petersburg, Florida. More on IndyCar in just a second, but just looking and recapping very quickly on Bahrain. Well, good old Fernando Alonso's back, and brought Aston Martin up onto the podium as well. Alonso had been the pretty much sort of dark horse, but threatening all the way through the practice a week earlier and then over the Grand Prix weekend. Red Bull, well, yep, more of the same. Will they get sort of taken down a bit this year? I think probably. They weren't that strong in Bahrain last year and had multiple failures there actually. But I think this year they've kicked off their season well. They will be a threat. Can Ferrari, can Mercedes, and now can Aston Martin raise the game? Letdown of the weekend, without a doubt. McLaren struggled during the test there and struggled during qualifying. So time will tell, but good old Alonso, he's back. And when he's back, he'll form that team around himself, and Aston Martin could certainly be a threat for the top step of the podium in the coming races. Well then, on to my favourite subject, and it's IndyCar. And the NTT IndyCar Series and all its feeder classes and support classes kicked off their season in St. Petersburg, Florida over the weekend. So there was USF 2000 with Jacob Douglas from New Zealand there. Indy Next, formerly known as Indy Lights, with Hunter McElrea there from New Zealand. And then of course IndyCar with Armstrong, Dixon and McLaughlin all in there as well. So it was great. Before the event even kicked off, had the chance to catch up with Marcus Armstrong.
Hey everyone, first race week in IndyCar. It's a special feeling and I feel very excited, but for whatever reason, not really nervous. I feel like my team, Ganassi, and my engineers were sort of on top of it, so I feel like very carefree at the moment, and I'm just looking forward to being in the seat and pushing as hard as I can. It's obviously a new circuit, and I'm still learning the car, but at the same time I feel very confident, and I love street circuits. I haven't been to St. Pete before, but by all accounts it's an awesome circuit, and I mean I've always bonded very well with street circuits, so let's push hard and see what we can get.
Armstrong's certainly in a very strong position, I feel, this year with the Ganassi team. And whilst he's not doing the oval events and Sato will step in for those, I think it's going to be a very, very strong year for Marcus. Certainly got the machinery to deal with it. Another person I spoke to before the event got going was Will Power. And we brought up our favourite kind of topic that we've had for a few years with each other, and that was the double point scenario at Indy.
Just a few thousand miles away, David Turner, Racing World. Go ahead, sir. Good to see you.
Thanks very much, Dave. Will, first of all, happy birthday from New Zealand, and hope it's a great day for you up there.
Thank you.
The question I've got, which has been one that's been dear to both our hearts for quite some time now, is the double point scenario from Indy. Now that it's finally gone, how do you see that impacting how a championship is played out? It's quite a different philosophy now, knowing that you don't have all those extra points, isn't it?
It is. It certainly allows you to attack a little bit more at Indy. You're not as guarded with if you're in the top 10 or let's say if you're in the top 5, you'll just sit there in 5th if you don't think you can get to the front and win to collect the double points. But I'm glad it's changed. It really was such a hit if you had a bad day there, because you had 33 cars. So you got 32. If you had a DNF, you got, more than 30 cars taking points away, double points away from you. So it's pretty big. It was the right decision. I believe it's the right decision. Good decision.
No. Fully agree with you on that one. Look, I think it'll be great. And in terms of your teammates for this year, everything within the Penske organization is very similar to last year. Is that a positive for you guys moving forward? Same driver lineup, as you said, same engineers and everybody for you?
Yeah, yes. I think things just flow better. Everyone knows their place, and, you got experience. Obviously you got, Scott's in his 3rd year now, so you got it's just good information. It's good It's just, you learn a lot from your teammates, so that matters, and the engineers as well. So yeah, it's good to have that kind of continuity. I know from my perspective on my car to have the same group as last year, it's really great.
Well, all the very best for St. Pete, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time when we get back up for Indy Grand Prix and onwards for the season.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
You got it, sir.
Well, things got underway at St. Pete. Staying with IndyCar, we'll look at the other classes shortly. But Romain Grosjean really owned qualifying in many ways. There were some surprises there, cars that didn't make the top 6 for various reasons. A lot of people were saying that the wind played a part in that, in terms of how the cars were braking under wind or into the wind. There was a bit of talk about the track surface on the newly relayed part of the circuit, which was between turns 3 and turns 4, very narrow around there, and you'll see more about that during the race itself. So there was a lot of things, but at the end of the day, Grosjean actually set his time very early into that fast 6 scenario, and it was a very happy Romain Grosjean and Michael Andretti as well.
And this is mainly for Romain and for Carlton. I just wanted to know, in the early practice sessions with 27 cars out on the track, which is fantastic for the series, just how difficult is that making life for you out on the track, though?
Joel, I'm gonna go.
I think I got really lucky in practice. I never really had too much traffic. There's some weekends like this, so honestly, so far it's been good. There are weekends where it's going to be a bit more complicated.
It's been pretty terrible for me, to be honest. It's tough to get a lap even in some of the sessions. So it is a kind of a big accordion effect once you have this many cars of kind of backing off and going again right at turn 10 as you go into the timeline. So I'm not really sure what could be done for it though. But it is annoying sometimes.
And then just quickly following up on that for Michael, as a team owner in the series, this must give you a lot of confidence as an owner to know that the series is this healthy.
Oh yeah, I'm very bullish on the series. I've always said that I think that we have the best racing in the world, and I think people are starting to notice it more and follow it more. And I feel really good about the future of IndyCar racing.
Well, congratulations to all three of you. Look forward to the race tomorrow, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time as well.
Well, onwards to the race. Now, don't forget, last year, Scott McLaughlin not only took the top spot in qualifying at this event, he went on to take the win there as well. So there was a lot of pressure on McLaughlin. He was a little bit deeper into the field, still made the fast 6 only just, but he was there. So there was expectation there, certainly probably by himself more than anybody else. Dixon, he was just a little bit further deeper, back in the pack, but still within that okay area. Anything back further than 10th, you start to get a bit concerned about that run to the first turn. But of course, the race played itself out quite differently. There was 2 major incidents that took place during the race, and the first one happened very early on, just within the first lap or so. Took out quite a number of cars. I think in the end there was about 7 cars that didn't get through that. Cars airborne, cars everywhere. Was this enthusiasm? Don't know. Was this silliness? Yes, probably. Very narrow part of the circuit, as I mentioned earlier on, and it was really just a bit of a dumb thing to do at the start of a season, and it's cost a lot of people a lot of machinery, that's for sure. There was another major incident in the race which saw Rinus VK's Chevrolet bounce into the barriers, but then the approaching Jack Harvey had absolutely nowhere to go and ploughed straight into the back of VK and then over the top of him. Just a horrendous incident. Harvey was taken to hospital in a stable condition just for evaluation, but again it shows you the strength of these cars, and also, even though we've criticised it a few times, the value of the aero screen. In both these incidents and everything else that happened, the aero screen probably saved major injury, shall we say. Then there was a bit of a dash to the end really within the race, and it came down to the fact that people that had phased themselves into the race, McLaughlin was there, Grosjean was there, Dixon was there, Palau was just there, Pato O'Ward was there, and Ericsson was there. So there was a good battle going on, you might say. Then there was the last of the stop sequences for fuel and everything, and out came McLaughlin, and him and Grosjean took each other out. I'm going to put it down to hard racing. McLaughlin says maybe he could have given some room, but look, at the end of the day, that's what racing's about, and they were racing for a win. but it did eliminate both those cars, and it actually took out the last remaining Andretti Autosport entry, so all 4 Andretti cars failing to finish this first event of the season, and it took out the defending champ of this race, Scott McLaughlin.
Look, first and foremost, I'm very sorry to Romain, and he's a friend of mine, and I know we were both going for the win there, and I just made a big mistake. I tried to push on cold tyres. I just didn't have the grip on the inside there like I did on the greens, and locked the rears, and unfortunately we made wheel contact that time, and it just took us both out. So, look, I don't race like that. I apologise. I feel like I've had plenty of good battles with many good drivers. Just got it from my Dex Imaging Chevy crew. I think the Dex Imaging car was great. The Chevy fuel mileage was great. I just made a stuff up, man, and you have those, you have your good days, you have your bad days, and I really do apologise to Romain, and I'll go see him soon.
From there on in, Pato led pretty well. Then he had a bit of an engine flutter, which he wouldn't really explain about at the post-race press conference. Ericsson took the lead. Dixon knew that third was good, started banking those points, and in the end we ended up with Marcus Ericsson on the top step, Pato O'Ward on the second step, and Kiwi Scott Dixon claiming the third step. After the race, I got to talk to everybody once again. So first up was the race winner, Marcus Ericsson.
We're here to win. We won the 500 last year. We were leading the championship for a long time. That's our mission this year. So this is a good start to it.
Then at the post-race press conference, Pato really didn't want to get into what happened about the engine scenario that happened. Clearly it's something that maybe they're doing or maybe Chevrolet are doing, but didn't really want to reveal that much.
We need to analyze.
Okay. Has it ever happened to you before, in practice, race, wherever?
Yes, it's more random. It comes up randomly. It's not, you can't really predict it. So yeah, we just have to have a look into it and just, we ended up with some great points. We started the year like we wanted to, right? But they're very valuable points at the end of the day. They just got thrown away, 10 points thrown away. So we'll have a look at, at all the data and stuff, and then just make sure how for that not to happen. And look forward to Dallas. I really like that place.
And then for Kiwi Scott Dixon, 189 top 5 finishes, I believe. I need to check that, but let's just say I'm right at the moment, and I'll confirm it with a little graphic below here. But 189 top 5 finishes. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, got the chance to talk to Dixon as well.
Or David Turner, I'm sure, has a question for Scott Dixon. David, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I do have a question for Scott, but it's not ignoring Pato. Great drive, Pato, and there's plenty more to come, that's for sure. Scott, one of the things I wanted to know, and I know that the team did a lot of work as an organisation during the off-season on the road and street course program at Ganassi's. Is this the result of what we're seeing over the weekend with how strong the cars were?
Yeah, I think all the cars were very strong, kind of right out of the gate. I don't think we maximised them, which is good. I think we've definitely got some potential to come, but so probably is the rest of the field. But yeah, much more comfortable this year. I think when you had a proper go at a lap, the time would come. I felt like last year we would do that, and the time necessarily wouldn't be there. So I think some missed opportunities for us this weekend in some areas, which is good because we can definitely work on that. But I think coming out of the gate, obviously with 2 cars on the podium is huge. It's great points to start the season, and hopefully we can build on that. But I think as a group, all the cars were great. As I had mentioned earlier, Marcus Armstrong had done a fantastic job this weekend as well for his first kind of street course. So looking forward to his progression through the year.
And then just touching on that, Marcus obviously steps aside for Taku at the next event at Texas. Will Marcus play a role with the team at Texas anyway, or, to learn for the future?
I don't know. I don't even know if he's coming. I imagine he's coming. It's a bit of downtime. Like our schedule's on the IMSA side is fairly busy. We test next week. I think a bunch of us in Alabama, and then that's Sebring, and then we're straight to Texas. So looking forward to seeing what Taku brings for Texas. I know our cars were all very strong last year. So hopefully we can have a smooth one there and capture some great points. But, I imagine, Armstrong's going to be there for that, just to be a part of the team.
Okay, cool.
Big transition from Formula 2 into IndyCar, much different type of car, heavier, everything that you could possibly think of. So it was great to see Marcus at least finish this race, and good to hear from him as well.
A good one considering what happened at the beginning. Someone tried to do us and basically just gave us a puncture. So from then on, it was always an uphill battle, but the boys did a good job. We had really good pace, and we got some half-decent points. So first race under my belt, it's pretty crazy. There was a lot of crashing, a lot of chaos. Just trying to keep my nose clean after that initial hit with my Locus, but it was a pleasure. The car was mega, as you can see, first and third with Marcus and Scott, so that'll be us soon.
So that kind of summed it up. I think Ganassi's have probably done some good off-season homework. I think Andretti's have too. In fact, many of the teams have. And now we move on in 3 weeks' time to the Oval at Texas Motor Speedway. So it's going to be a completely different beast. Sato in the car for Armstrong at that event in the Ganassi squad. And the only Oval event before they hit the month of May in the Magic Indianapolis 500 in the 107th running of the Indy 500 presented by Gamebridge. So it's going to be just another great race, and we look forward to that sports car program in between, as Dixon mentioned. So there's a lot to play for. Now, moving on to Indy next. Hunter McElrea had a big accident. Even by his standards, he said it was one of the biggest hits he'd ever had in practice. Came back well in qualifying to put the car kind of where it needed, and then a top 5 finish in the race, which I think was a phenomenal job by Hunter. It just did a great job. And Michael Andretti had said, if you get in the top 5, that's going to be the equivalent of a race win, I should say. So well done to Hunter. Points on the board, championships underway, big championship this year. New tyre on the car this year for Indy Next. It's the Firestone tyre now, not the Cooper tyre that they'd run in the past. So there's a lot of transition that will take place as a result of that. But yeah, very strong run from Hunter McElrea in the end, and he should be very proud of that. Moving on to Jacob Douglas in USF 2000. A good run by Jacob. You can definitely see that this is season 2 of his campaign with Exclusive Autosport, back where he drove last year. But we're seeing improvements. Rather than being at the back end of the field, he's very much in the mid to upper parts of the field now. So I think we're going to see some promising things from Jacob. And these are also tracks that he's been to before. So this will really help in terms of knowledge of the track, set up at the track and everything. So we've got young Kiwis that are really chipping away. So I think there's going to be some great stuff there. And we may have some exciting news for you by the time we do this next show on something that will really focus on the Kiwis and what they're up to in the States. I'll be very pleased to announce that, and also announce the supporting partners that we'll have for that project. It's very, very close to happening now. I know I've harped on it quite a bit, but it is really close to happening. So that's our first IndyCar race for the year, first Formula 1 race. No change at the front there, Red Bull, Red Bull. So let's see what happens there. But yeah, Alonso is back. As for IndyCar, not a form guide yet, but what we know is that the road and street course program for the Ganassi cars and Andretti cars is far stronger than what it was last year. So there's big things to come. Oval next though. Is it a form guide to Indy? No, not really, but let's see what happens. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Like to catch up with all the Kiwis that we have, and we'll catch you again soon on Racing World.